Hi, I'm David Eisenberg, Assistant Professor of Information Management and Business Analytics at the Feliciano School of Business. And I'm here proudly joined by Jorge Fresneda, who holds the Hurlburt Chair in the Department of Marketing at NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, at the Tuchman School of Business. Hi, Jorge. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thanks.
Today I want us to talk a little bit about the business analytics, the neural analytics for business lab at NJIT, how that got started and what we're doing with it now. What are some of the things that you're most excited about that?
So the reality about neural analytics, marketing analytics in terms of neural sensors is that it's something that neuromarketing 10, 12 years ago required like crazy expensive devices, devices that only a few universities could afford, so big, so noisy, and there is a growing miniaturization, making these devices smaller and smaller and smaller and making more available for everybody and more accessible for everybody, for marketing research, for business research. And there is a little bit of a revolution in this area with these devices being more accessible, more portable, which allow researchers to capture and collect information in more like realistic settings, more like comfortable settings. You don't have to lay down within a crazy, noisy, claustrophobic machine to collect data anymore. Obviously, this comes at a price. The accuracy of these portable devices, small devices, are not the accuracy of this monstrosity of machines, but it is reasonably good, reasonably high, and we can use it for many different applications, such as finance, research, marketing research, many different applications where we can actually identify emotions. We can identify and quantify specific emotions and see how these emotions lead to certain patterns and behaviors. And I think that is a very, very, very exciting field, very accessible. Data science also, which is behind the interpretation of all these signals and identification of these emotions, these feelings, is also contributing a lot to the field, helping us identifying and quantifying these signals, interpreting these signals into emotions. So we are again kind of like a little bit within a revolution now of these devices, real life applications of these devices, and their application for business are endless. So one of the things that that popped into my head when you were talking is the idea of the miniaturization of all of it. How do you think that the ability for these devices that can potentially understand and sense people's feelings, potentially by becoming small and therefore and also less expensive, how do you think that affects consumers and the potential for businesses to create sort of entrepreneurial or new inventions or devices to be able to, for these things to be, both either amenable or available to the public at large? So for consumers, there is a very exciting challenge in the sense that can a device know you better? Can a device tell you what you really, 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 like in your inner yourself, what you really, really, really want, better of what you even like think about? So I think that there is very exciting application of this in, again, like finance, marketing, that are the fields that we are more interested right now, of actually developing and providing products and services that are really what customers, like what individuals really want, and in many cases they don't even know that they want it. So I think that would be one of the, I don't know if it's the best application of it, but I think that is the one that excites me the most, being able to truly customize offerings in terms of products and services for consumers. I think that would be my number one.
Sure. And so tell us a little bit about the lab that we've set up at NJIT that focuses on neural analytics.
So we are basically working with two different devices. One is called EEG. Basically, it's an encephalogram and capture like brain activity, brain waves, actually like electricity in your brain. And electroencephalogram is basically what is used in medicine to see that there is like mental activity in a brain. And we combine it with another set of devices that are called GSR, that basically kind of like in plain English a lie detector. So we combine those devices. We have a specific space dedicated in NJIT where we collect data from individuals that volunteer to participate in our studies. They receive very briefly, very quickly, very easily, they receive some kind of like stimuli, and we use these two devices, EEG and GSR, to collect the body response, physical and mental response to these stimuli, and we collect all this data, we collect all these signals, and we use machine learning algorithms to kind of like clean and translate those signals and identify these emotions after the stimuli that the volunteers. So we have basically a setup space with computers, with these EEG and GSR devices, and we have basically the space to get these stimuli to our volunteers and collect all this information, translate all this information, and do research on that information. So this is basically the setting of our lab.
And so I was actually, I helped set up the lab, and Jorge and I, run the lab together. Actually, for those of you watching from Montclair State, there are Montclair State University students who have now participated in this lab, and we're always looking for, additional interested students.
Absolutely. And we need a lot of help, so please volunteer.
So, and we're actually in the process of, putting together a grant application where we might be able to recruit even more students for that purpose.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So in any case, the one of the things that that you mentioned was machine learning, which is sometimes used as or considered a synonym or a part of the more overarching term of artificial intelligence or AI. How do you think that the ability for software or these kinds of devices, when applied in a consumer way, could feed into the data that then is able to be interpreted and provide feedback or dynamic interaction from artificial intelligence?
So artificial intelligence, in the end, is going to be able to provide real-time recommendations for consumers. That is we are in the infancy of that. But these devices, these sensors are making and being more and more available, more and more portable. Some of them even are already included in some smart devices. So I think that through artificial intelligence, in the long run, I don't know how many years, but we are, as a consumer, I'm going to be able to get these recommendations in real time. Recommendations, again, that I may not be aware of something that I need, that I want, that I'm striving to get. I think that artificial intelligence is going to be a key element. It is already, and it's going to be a key element in providing recommendations and suggestions in real time for consumers.
And so something that we haven't directly started addressing yet in our lab, but which I think is really interesting and something that we could potentially be eventually investigating is within the area of kind of AI and robotics. The idea of there's a whole field of kind of robotics and AI becoming emotionally aware, and so the notion of robots or AI being able to understand and respond to our emotions, how does that change potentially the way that we interact with software that functions as artificial intelligence?
I mean, in many ways. I mean, think about a very simple example, customer service. If consumers are going to be, instead of like interacted with some kind of like call, phone response system or something like that, to something that actually can respond to have a response to my feelings, my emotions, to that is a game changer, at least in customer service, in service marketing, and I can think of like many other applications, finance as well. I think that would give a human touch of all these robotics and all that. I think that I'm a marketing professor, so I'm always like, from a consumer perspective, I think that is a game changer in terms, at least in service marketing.
Certainly a lot more, engaging or responsive than when I call and it says press 1 for this and press 2 for that.
Robotic call voice, indeed.
So how do you think that the ability for AI and for software to become emotionally aware of people's emotional response, and therefore on some level become empathic to people's needs and feelings, how do you think that affects, say, and now we're kind of crossing over from marketing a little bit into MIS or information systems, and maybe to some extent HR, but how do you think that affects like the future of work, the ability for AI to kind of become in the role of people, in the workplace, or work with people?
So you can think of many ways, or there are many potential ways of apply that. The first thing that comes to my mind in this sense is that different people are more effective in different circumstances. So it will be very, very interesting to be able to kind of like assess, identify, but under what like emotional circumstances people are more effective. There are people that they work very well under pressure, which probably is my case. I need deadlines and I need like to have something coming up to, like, I need pressure to be effective. Some other people don't. They kind of like dilute under pressure. So I think that being emotional, being able to recognize, identify, quantify these emotions, and somehow measuring how effective people are under certain like emotional states, I think that can be also be a game changer in terms of making us like better performers, better workers, employees, by kind of like replicating that or trying to find that emotional state that help you being a better employee, a better manager, a better etc., etc. So I think that this can have also a very important application for the future of work and can help us eventually being better employees and performers in our job.
And in the space that I'm thinking of, which is kind of, I would say, is sort of, service work, which may even be considered the crossover between, the area of, consumer or marketing oriented work and day-to-day work. I'm thinking of when I'm at the, the supermarket or the Walmart, that there's this tall robot that's like 6 feet tall and it has this creepy smile on its face, and it comes up behind me and beeps really loudly, and then I freak out. And so now how is it different if something like that is able to be optimized or evolved to a way that that it's emotionally aware, that it's not just coming up behind me and freaking me out without realizing that it's freaking people out?
I mean, I think that the key word here is trust. I think that humans trust or distrust what is not like empathic, what is not like emotional aware, what is not like reflecting or connecting to your emotion. I do think that the key word here is trust, and trusting devices that are emotionally aware of your feelings, of your emotions. So.
That's interesting, because I think you can imagine across a lot of different devices that are currently trying to engage with people, that it becomes, very fast for people to mistrust. I know the idea of trust is something that you were working on even before we got involved with, with neural sensing and all that.
Yeah. That was the even from the very beginning of e-commerce in the 1990s was a key element. People tend to distrust the early beginnings of Amazon and e-commerce because you didn't know what those companies were going to do with your credit card information and shipping. I don't want to provide my shipping information. So trust has been always a key element in everything that has to do with technology and technology aspects of our interaction with humans and technology. And trust is something that I do think that something that is emotional aware can build that trust and let us like trust more these devices and these services.
That makes sense. And so, what are some of the projects that that we're currently working on in the Neural Analytics Lab?
So we are working basically in two different areas. We are working on finance and financial products, trying to come up with a system that can recommend and can provide. You can first and foremost understand the role of emotions in making financial decisions and buying financial products, and eventually being able to provide a better recommendation. Once we understand the role of emotions and how people make emotionally loaded decisions in terms of finance, we want to apply that to make like better recommendation systems for people to identify or get financial products. So that is like first major area of work. We have a second major area of work that has to do with marketing and assessing products, assessing a specific type of product that is called experience products. Experience products, as a little bit the name says, are products that you really need to experience to kind of like assess, evaluate. You need to watch a movie. You have to be sitting in watching a movie to evaluate the movie. I can think of, I want to watch this Star Wars movie, but I actually have to watch it. I have to experience to assess how good, how bad it is. So in marketing, evaluating experience products, a video game has been always a problem because there are not clear features of characteristics that you can assess. You don't have a processor with these characteristics. You don't have a laptop with this memory. You don't have specific features that you can use to assess something. You have to actually experience the product. So we are embarking a project to use our devices to evaluate experience products and kind of like get a better idea of how people evaluate, assess these experience products, and again, like use that to develop better products, better recommendations, etc., etc. So these are the two major areas that we are currently working on. We got IRB approval for all of these. We have many other projects that we are developing, but these are the ones that we have currently like working on actively.
And when we're talking about experience, I think one of the key features of that is the fact that experience is something that occurs over time. Mm-hmm. And so it's not something like that I'm, looking at a series of products on a table and I'm kind of saying that's the best one.
Yeah.
And so if I'm watching a Netflix movie or listening to music or something like that,
that's easily 2 hours.
Right. How does
2 hours of up and down, and down.
So how does it make a difference that something that's a neural sensing device, something that maybe can be embedded, is currently being embedded in the iWatch in one of the upcoming iterations of the new Apple Watch, and or in other devices. I myself have a pair of headphones which I got in a grant, which you've seen, which allow me to listen to stereo music, look just like regular stereo headphones, but is made by the brand that we use for the EEG and electroencephalography devices, and therefore can be scanning my emotions in my brain while I'm listening to music. How is the ability for that to happen in real time over the course of time different from something which is just assessing an emotion, for a moment?
So that's a key element of what we are doing. A movie can be like 2 hours long, and there is a very long period of time that you need to collect, and you have to assess all that information, and you have to make an educated assessment, and all these signals and all these emotions are leading to liking or disliking a movie, wanting to watch it again, sharing the social media. This movie was so amazing. That is something that again has been like puzzling marketers for a long time. We think we have a way to measure that long exposition to a movie and an experience product, something that is not like as easy of assessing as a pen that you use it and that's it. So I think that we can hopefully provide a way of measuring, evaluating this product with our portable devices, real time. We can actually collect data through like a whole movie. And again, it's not like a claustrophobic machine making a lot of noise or distracting you. You can be like sitting in a cinema, movie theater with the device on and going through the whole experience in a more realistic setting. I do think that it can contribute to actually provide a good measurement or a good evaluation of these experience products.
In some ways, one metaphor that comes to mind is how during the presidential elections, if you're watching certain network television shows or something, that that you'll see that there are certain people who have been hired to kind of sit at home with sort of these devices where they're pushing, good or bad on, over and over again, and so in order to signal to the show, and they're quantifying that. To tell the show like how much people are enjoying listening to one political candidate or the other, and in this case it almost baffles the mind to imagine how that could be transitioned into something where millions upon millions of iPhone users or iWatch users could be essentially automatically gauging even more instantly throughout
providing in real time, and also in many cases not being aware, which is another important, not being like aware of the device and collecting the data itself that gives you a more realistic measurement.
And in terms of the finance aspect that you were talking about, what do you think what would be an example of someone making a decision of a financial decision, let's say based on emotion, and how might that affect their decision making?
Risk assessment is probably the first thing that comes to my mind. People tend to not have a very good idea of the level of risk that they are willing or they really think that they can take. There are many instances of people buying, initially buying financial products, thinking, oh, I want to take whatever risk it takes. I want to make a lot of money. And I think that the risk assessment from financial products and buying financial products is one of the areas that I do think that people tend to do a lot of like emotionally loaded decisions in finance. Yeah. And one area, again, I think that is risk. And I do think that we can contribute to really give you an idea of what is the real level of risk that you are willing to assume or take. I think that risk assessment is probably one of the areas, of initial area that we can help with our devices and our methods.
Cool. All right. So I guess with that, I think this is, I'm biased, of course, but I think this is really exciting research that we're doing.
Thank you very much. It is.
And hopefully, more people will become interested, and and if anyone listening is really interested in this kind of work, feel free to reach out to us, at either at NJIT or at Montclair State. And thanks for being part of this.
Thank you for watching. Thank you.